I got home from work and I was feeling tired, and then I was thinking to myself in the shower, like, what do I want to do, bro? I want to stream tonight, but I really don't want to play a game. I was thinking about playing League. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I was thinking, okay, what if I did art? I'm tired. No, I don't want to do art. I can do that tomorrow. I was like, oh my god, I know what I want to do. I've been looking for a new story to read, right? And I remembered like one of my favorite web novels. And I was like, dude, I can read this. I can literally read a web novel, and that's what we're doing. All rights belong to Tabe Nagatsuki, you know, the original author of ReZero, Starting Life in a Different World from Zero. This is a translation of the free Japanese web novel into English. And this is really bad. He felt the hard floor against his cheek, and realized he had collapsed onto his face. His strength was completely gone. It was completely gone, and he had already lost sensation in his fingers. The heat from his core was so excruciating, it made him want to tear his throat out. Hot, 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 hot! The moment he opened his mouth to scream, what spilled forth was no shriek, but it was a clump of blood. He vomited up large quantities of his lifeblood as he coughed. Frothy blood started foaming up the corners of his mouth as he gurgled. Within this dim field of view, the ground had been dyed red. This is all my blood? It was enough to soak his fallen body. Blood compromises about 8% of the human body. I can said that losing about a third of that would be life-threatening, but it seemed to him like he just about lost all of it. He'd stopped vomiting blood, but the heat that felt as though it would incinerate him still persisted. He moved his hand toward his lower abdomen with great difficulty, and having felt an impossible sensation there, he understood. My stomach's been torn open. It was no wonder he felt so hot. It seemed his brain had confused pain for heat. He was almost torn in half. Only a bit of skin and his back held him together. In short, it seemed like this was checkmate for him. And the moment he realized this, his consciousness started fading. Even the heat, which was making him writhe in agony, disappeared. Even the unpleasant feeling of blood and the sensation of the hand he'd used to feel his stomach, it was all fading away, along with his consciousness. All that was left was his body, which would not be able to accompany his soul. His body used the last of its disappearing consciousness to move just a little. It turned its head upward. Black shoes formed ripples in the pool of blood before his eyes. And there was someone there. Someone was most likely the one who killed him. Strangely, he didn't feel like looking at their face. This person was the one who took his life, and yet he still decided to simply remain a spectator to his own demise. He had no way knowing, no clue as to who they were. But right now, he didn't really care about all that. He only wished for the girl's safety. Bara? He felt like he heard a voice, like the chime of a bell. He was beyond the point where he could even differentiate his senses, so he probably just imagined it. Despite that, even supposing it wasn't real, he found it extremely comforting. So, a short scream, and then a carpet of blood welcomed yet another person. She had fallen right beside him. Right next to him, exactly where his arm was. Her bare hand dropped powerlessly and intertwined with his. Probably just a coincidence. He felt her fingers move slightly, as if squeezing his hand. Wait. He forced his disappearing consciousness to return for just a moment. The pain and the heat, everything had faded away. It was a meaningless effort, but nothing but a lost wasting time. Even so, I will definitely save you. In that moment, Natsuki Subaru lost his life. So if you guys don't know, this is ReZero. This is one of my favorite stories ever. I love the anime. That was so much. It's like one of my top 3. It's so good. No, I'm not doing that kind of ASMR. I will never do macaroni sounds ASMR. That shit scares me. ReZero. You probably know some of the characters. I'll just say that straight up. You probably know some of them. I almost bet you do. Anyways, Hawaii. We just read the prologue, so you're not late. This is really bad. Lost and penniless? Those few words were all I could think of. Oh, penniless wasn't quite right. He did have his wallet in his pocket, setting aside the fact that he had an abundance of small change with very few notes. It couldn't be denied that he had his assets on him. More than enough to go to the nearest mall, do some shopping, eat some lunch, and even so, he could only be called penniless. Looks like the currency around here is completely different after all. Flipping a rare, rich 10 yen coin he was holding, the youth sighed deeply. He was an unremarkable youth, bearing short black hair and average stature. He had some muscularity which, combined with his cheap jersey, gave off the air of an elite, or an athlete. His sharp eyes were his only noteworthy feature, and now, well, even they drooped helplessly. The banality of his appearance was such that one could instantly lose him in the crowd. However, the gazes directed at him were those of wonder and comprehension, as though they were looking at something strange. Obviously, there wasn't a single person sporting black hair or a jersey among those looking at him. Their hair varied extensively, blonde, white, brown, green, blue, and so on. Furthermore, their outfits were armor, dancer's clothes, monotone robes, and more which possessed a certain vibe? The youth could only cross his arms in comprehension as their brazen gazes washed over him. So, basically it's like that, huh? Snapping his fingers, he pointed at those who were staring at him. Seems I've been summoned to another world. Well, before his eyes was a carriage drawn by a massive, lizard-like being. Natsuki Subaru was born in the Heisei era, Japan's pressure-free education system. He had lived 17 years, and to describe his life would take 17 years in itself. Setting that aside, though, his present situation could be simply described as high school 3rd year and a shut-in. Or more detailed terms, a piece of trash who disregards everything, even his parents, to shut himself in his shell, even with his entrance exams right around the corner. There was no particular reason for his solitude. On typical weekdays, he would occasionally think, getting up now would be a pain. And that became an impetus to cut school. With his absences steadily increasing, before he realized it, he'd become an exemplary shut-in who brought tears to his parents. He spent his days in sloth, plunging ever deeper into the net with minimal communication. The result being a summons to another world, huh? I don't really get it myself. Reconfirming his surroundings yet again, he heaved his umpteenth sigh. He had moved from the street he was on, and presently sitting in a somewhat dim alley. I mean, the ground was paved. A rough job compared to modern Japan, but it wasn't bad. Supposing this is a parallel world fantasy, I guess this must be the standard medieval civilization. I didn't see any machinery, and built with stone and wood. He thought back to the sights he'd seen on his way to the alley and organized the information in his head. He would frequently let his imagination run wild, and as a result, he was more than prepared for his present situation. First, calmly analyze that time period's culture and its differences with Japan. Ascertain any differences in the laws of physics and possibility of contact with humanoid organisms. Those were his priorities. Alright, let's do this. I'm not imagining you guys, and I'm fairly certain about the level of civilization. It seems like my money won't be of any use, but I took the opportunity to speak to a shopkeeper and we had no problem communicating. Upon realizing he'd been summoned, the first thing Subaru did was attempt to negotiate with a, grocer? Having attempted to purchase the, apples, maybe, with his Japanese yen, he was promptly denied. It seemed like this world used gold and silver and copper coins as its currency. The inherent value of currency in this world was easy to understand, certainly befitting a parallel world fantasy. Well, I suppose there would be mixed metal fakes. Something like a 500 won coin would probably degrade, though. Probably heavy to carry around, he thought, as another lizard-drawn carriage passed through the street. This produced a giant cloud of dust, and the townsfolk paid no mind, as though they were completely used to it. Even so, they don't seem nearly as common as cars were. Come to think of it, I haven't seen any dogs or cats around here. I wonder why. The lizards drawing the carriages appeared considerably larger than horses. I mean, their body mass seemed constant relative to their proportions, but it was certainly worrying to see the reptiles of that size. A common place, huh? Both lizards and humanoids. And the final piece he had to confirm: the unique looks of this world's humans. They possessed very colorful hair. Anime. But one could easily obtain any hair color with dye. For a parallel world fantasy, that was nothing extraordinary. Instead, Subaru focused on their animal ears. A cursory glance, he spotted dog ears, cat ears, perhaps even bunny ears. And he may have even caught sight of a lizard-like human being. There were also those who looked no different from Subaru, which led him to conclude the genre is parallel world fantasy. The culture is that of your typical medieval civilization. Demi-humans are so common. So battle and adventure might be common as well. The animals show some minor changes, but they basically serve their functions. Is that how it is? Having deduced that, Subaru exhaled a long breath that wasn't quite as high. Having spoken of the circumstances he'd ended up in, he knitted his brows at the seemingly convenient development. If things proceeded according to his fantasies, he'd freely use his modern knowledge to obtain incredible power. Incredible power. However, this world was slightly different from what he'd planned for. I'd run perfect simulations of the Sengoku era. If I'd ended up there, I'd have seized the country from Nobunaga. When it came to parallel world fantasy, his best knowledge amounted to gunpowder production. And even that was meaningless, considering this world's technological level. Parallel world fantasy, it generally came with magic. If that were the case, it would probably make gunpowder a little more than fireworks. Well, there's also cliches where magic isn't the end-all be-all. If I ever get the opportunity to contribute to the advancement of science, I'll do my best to... Oh, first my current problem. He had no clue how or why he'd been summoned here. I mean, he clearly remembered what he was doing prior to the summoning. He had just gone out for the first time in like a while to go buy some cup ramen, at the convenience store, and he was about to return home. He didn't want to use his bicycle, so he went on foot. Midway, he looked up at the night sky and thought, it's almost a full moon tonight, huh? And then as he looked down and blinked, it was noon. Night to noon, like in an instant. He realized something was off, but that was it. He'd calmed down now, but immediately after the summoning, his panic was such that it could be told for generations to come. Considering being an only son gone missing, those generations might not exist. As he muttered this, he once again checked his belongings. In parallel world fantasy, starting gear was even more important than he'd imagined. He'd need everything he had, however little. First his cell phone, oh god, the dying battery. His wallet, containing many video rental membership cards. The ramen he bought at the convenience store. Some snacks. Corn potage. His beloved gray jersey, which was unwashed. Worn out sneakers. And more. That's that, huh? God, why didn't I carry at least a pistol? What do I do now? It seemed only snacks would prove useful. And only to fill his belly. The situation is hopeless. And of course, I don't know the source. I don't even know. I don't have any memories of passing through a mirror or like hopping into a pond. God, and most importantly, where is the beauty who summoned me? The heroine's absence, by 2D standards, was an act of inconceivable negligence. To summon him and just leave him like that, it was as though he'd been simply thrown away. Like, in truth, Subaru could no longer escape reality now. He's assessed his situation, and he could only hang his head in despair. Give me a break already! What on earth am I supposed to do here? Subaru was already at his limit as he muttered complaints. He earnestly wanted to go back. You know, fantasy was best left in the realm of fantasy. It was fun to imagine arriving in another world to obtain incredible power, but to actually end up in a situation? What could he really do? For now, what's important is survival, but will my level 1 communication ability really be enough? Aside from his family, he really only spoke to store clerks. He lived this lifestyle for almost a year now, and had long forgotten how to navigate social interactions. I mean, even though I can speak, speaking speed and online chats. Subaru moved his fingers nervously as he contemplated his future in despair. However, his expression changed when he heard the footsteps echoing through the alley. And he looked up to see 3 men blocking the exit. Uh-oh. Who do you guys think the 3 guys are gonna be? In the alleyway? I'll let you ponder on that. I'm gonna get some water. Speak Animalese! Tibbs, you're a fucking criminal! Sing mom, spin mom. Oh my god, Subaru, I'm back in me. Lots of maids, huh? Yeah, like Felis. Good boy. God, I love that character. I love that character. I love that character. I love that character so much. Oh, you've seen the anime? Okay, cool. Do it. I'm not gonna fucking do it. I'm not gonna do that. He looks interested in normal film, but where's this? Where's Goku? Maybe we'll find out if there's Goku. Oh, I should so point. Oh my god, chapter 1. So we're about to introduce this world to modern weapons and match destructions. Oh yeah. Oh, show you tonkatsu, which by the way, the tonkatsu ramen, so good. Around here, it's completely different after all. Christina made? Oh god, I wish. Maybe we can make that happen one day though. Ever get that feeling of deja vu? Maybe. Whoa, you made it this far? Sorry. Whoa, you made it this fucking... Dude, okay, I ate Takis, right? And I'm having the hardest time talking. It's like the tip of my tongue is on fire, and I can't like make sounds with it like that. Okay, for real. Whoa, hey, you made it this far through the video. Congrats. I had a lot of fun recording this, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Anyways, It's getting late. See ya.
Baby, can you be a little bit stronger? Baby, 'cause I need a little longer. You're an earthly comfort, yet so divine, yet so divine. I never see you.